Jai Mataji and hello listeners. Welcome to today's session. In our last session, we discussed organizing activities around a reason and focused on what it takes to achieve that goal and solve problems. So today we're going to talk about the power of imagination. Now these days, the buzzword everywhere around us is manifestation. And in YouTube, you'll see that there's lots of videos that tell you how to manifest whatever you want. And how you get there doesn't really matter, because what is common in what everyone is saying is that when you start seeing something that you desire, it will follow. So for you to be able to do this, the important thing is to have an imagination of something that you want. Because it is only when you have an imagination that you can create things. And this is how major inventions come about. So, in our journey to connect with and express the divine, we also have to start with imagining that this is going to happen for us. And only then will this express in the material world. Mother called this process as telling stories to oneself. So, whatever you want, you just start telling yourself this story and make it detailed, make it beautiful, make it harmonious. Soon you will see that your mind is organizing everything around the story. And just a reminder, when you're building this story, make sure that you're not building in any fears or doubts or any negative aspects, because if you do, then they will also happen. So parents, I request you, please start teaching this to your children today, because the stories that they tell themselves today are shaping their destiny. Now, the question is, what should the story be about? And the answer is, well, the story should be anything and everything about what they're interested in. So, what that means is, for a child to create a story, first the child must know what's interesting and what the child is passionate about. And it is the job of the parents and the teachers to create interest in every aspect of life, which gives the child opportunities to pick from. Now let's step to think about it. We all brush our teeth, but not every one of us becomes a dentist. So clearly those who became a dentist must have found something interested in teeth, and brushing teeth is an important component in the dentistry journey, right? So what we have to do is spark their curiosity in every activity that they're doing. Ask them questions. Have them ask you questions, and if you don't know the answers to these questions, you send them in the direction where they can find the answers. So start giving them material that is considered good material that will awaken their imagination. What this means is you want your child to get exposure to multiple things, and you also want your child to focus on multiple subjects. And that is good, but what you also want to do is have your child focus on learning about one topic and learn about that topic in multiple ways. I'll share an example from my personal experience. So last week, I was speaking with a child about a volcanic eruption and what happens when a volcanic eruption occurs. So slowly, through this conversation, the discussion got extended to learn about the temperature of lava, and then we compared it back to temperature of water, we compared it to the temperature of ice, and then we started looking at the temperature of different parts of a flame, and the list just continued. When the child starts learning this way, the child will see how everything is connected to each other. So when they're building this story for themselves, they will also start connecting this story to multiple aspects in their life. And this is really needed. Now, as we grow older, we see that even though we have a vision, we have an imagination of where we want to be, we will see ideas come in our head that make things seem contradictory. We see this in religions all the time. A person will say that, there's only one God and Jesus is God. And then you have a second person who will say, well, there's only one God and Krishna is God. Now, if there's a person who genuinely is seeking God, this person may get confused and will say, well, now who do I follow, right? And this is what the mind does. The mind is great at putting in thoughts that will halt you from getting you what you want, right? So in these instances, a person must know how to reclassify the thoughts and only align it with their actions, right? So try to reject any thought that will take you away from what you're trying to achieve. In this instance, the thought is that one is God and one isn't God. So what if I'm wrong? But a person can also step back and realize that, well, what if they're both different appearances of God, and then reclassify their journey based on these thoughts. Now, Sri Aurobindo said, you become what you think. And this happens in 3 steps. You start with a vision. This vision creates thoughts, and then the thoughts get converted to an action. So essentially, today, you're teaching children to do something in the present for how they will be living in the future. Don't give them this vision. Let them create their own vision, because they will be able to relate to it better if the vision is theirs. And the way to get started is to help them imagine things. So what we could do is tell them stories about the past, because when you tell them stories about the past, that will help them understand the present. You just want to be careful that your child isn't living in the past, right? You are trying to prepare your child for the future. Now, to prepare for the future, there is one thing that will help them at every step, and that is their intuition. That will be the topic of the next session. Thank you all for listening. Just to summarize, we spoke about the power of thoughts in shaping your destiny. So see you next time. Jai Mataji.